Hello, my name is Rebecca Dadey. I'm a white woman who has shoulder-length light brown hair and wearing a long-sleeve black shirt. I am deaf. I teach American Sign Language. I teach at OCC and Syracuse University. Hey, don't worry, your speakers are not broken. This video has no audio, but subtitles and captions are provided. Today, I will be talking about the deaf experience and perspectives. Did you know that the deaf community has rich and diverse experiences? Pride, identity, culture, history, literature, and art? Many deaf people feel proud to be deaf. They don't want to feel pitied, seen as less than, or be fixed. These thoughts are common with a hearing perspective from society. This artwork by a deaf artist, Ashley Hannon, pictured here, has a picture of a face in the center. Half of the face is focused on audiology, with the audiogram and focused on hearing, where the other side is focused on nature and natural, like butterflies in the picture. This shows a deaf person experiences the clash between the two perspectives: the deaf identity, culture, and language versus the hearing worldview. Did you know that ASL is a bona fide language? It is not English on the hands. %90 of deaf people are born to hearing parents. Seriously, I'm not kidding. Only 10% are born to deaf parents. Of the 90% with hearing parents, approximately 75% of the parents never learn to use ASL with their deaf child. Imagine growing up not having communication with your hearing family. This results in frustration, struggles, and a lot of missed information. The picture here by David Call is a black and white picture of a little girl holding her hands up, and her eyes are vacant puzzle pieces, and the puzzle pieces are in her hand with her eyes on them. The deaf experience is the reason why the deaf community places a heavy value on community, collaboration, and working together. You don't need to be nervous or scared when you meet a deaf person. Just remember that deaf people value visuals and eye contact. Also, when talking with a deaf person, smile and nod to show understanding. Oh, and don't be afraid to ask questions for clarification if necessary. If you ask questions, it shows you value communicating with them as equals. Take a look at the comic above. The comic is by that deaf guy, and there are two men chatting with each other in the picture. The first panel has a man wearing a purple shirt who says, "Can you read my lips?" And the man next to him wearing a green shirt says, "Should I say yes or no?" He's thinking, should I say yes or no? And the second panel says on the top, if I say yes, and it shows it from the deaf person's perspective, that what the man in purple is saying is all garbled and is blah, blah, blah. I can't understand what he's saying. If I say no on the third panel, the man in purple says, never mind. The comic illustrates how communication often inadvertently becomes a burden on the deaf person. You probably have asked a deaf person if they can read lips. This can put the deaf person in a bind in how best to answer. If I say yes, the hearing person starts speaking and I can't understand anything. If I say no, the hearing person decides to drop the conversation and walk away. I personally have experienced this many times. Here's a fact for you. Lip reading is not easy because only 30% of sounds are visible on the lips. The rest of lip reading is actually a guessing game. I suggest you ask the deaf person how they prefer to communicate. Maybe they prefer you get an interpreter, write back and forth, text, or other methods. You should honor and accommodate however method they express as their preference. If they request an interpreter, ask them for names of preferred interpreters. Try to accommodate their specific request because not all interpreters are the same. Just as how glasses are specific to each person, deaf people have specific interpreting needs and preferences. How can you demonstrate allyship to the deaf community? The picture on this page has 2 thumbs up that are purple and looks like a sunrise in the background. This is by the deaf artist Brittany Castle by 58 Creativity. Diversity, equity, and inclusion conversations often focus on race, gender, and class. Disability is often left out of the conversations, yet it is an important topic, along with deaf perspectives. Learn about and recognize examples of ableism. Then figure out ways to break down systemic barriers. Also, you should seek out information and advice from deaf individuals and experts. Often, hearing professionals seek out hearing experts who work with the deaf community simply because it's easier to communicate. As a result, you miss the opportunity to learn from the rich experiences of deaf people. For my final tip, it's perfectly okay to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to acknowledge the mistake. Learn from it and do better next time. Thank you.